Let me know when we're good. Come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by Chief of Staff Thornton, followed by a moment of reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Continue to of reflection.
The clerk will call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect.
Baldinger, Venegas, Boswell, Poviak, Humvee, Doppolito, Davis, DiLorenzo, Greer, Fry, Goggins, Gay, George, Gopel, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Keenan, Kearns, Lewis, Busry, Middleton, Monica, Wakatusia, Primus, Ryan, Bams, Sanders, Santiago Sevilla, Sheridan, Seitler, Spurgeon, Tapia, Palaka, Violet, Walker, Ward, Wilson, Watley.
With the quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the journal of January 21st, 2026 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Violet, you're recognized. Everybody. So, rules whatever 4 pieces of legislation, all of which passed. Delegation steering's first meeting is Sunday at 10 a.m. Please show up if you can. Senate retreat was awesome. Those slides should be sent out to you. And that, I yield the questions. Speaker Pro Tempore yields the time to questions. Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairperson Koviak, you're recognized.
Hello, everyone. So academics was hosted by my vice chair this week. Thank you, Matt. There's a lot going on over there. It's fine. But we reviewed 2 pieces of legislation, SBL 117-166 and 168. Both were found favorable. That's really all there is to say on that part. Past that, we are hosting, as part of a joint thing with President's Branch and Broco and ourselves, an academics week in the first week of March. If you want further details about what that's going to look like, and if you would like to assist, even if you are not in the committee, please let me know. There's a lot of different things going on with that. But with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairperson yields to questions. Are there any questions for the chairperson? Seeing none, thank you. You will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
Hi, we had a little bit of an eventful week in finance. Overall, $24,000 and some change were approved. We ended up meeting once at our normal meeting time, and then meeting again after further information was found. I'll elaborate on that. So there was an organization that had a request open, and the Finance Committee, being over-requested in our budget right now, meaning we have more dollars requested than available left, decided not to override the $10,000 cap. This organization was previously allocated funds earlier in the year, and because none of us, senators, staff, and departments in life have access to the Controller's Office reimbursement portal, there was no way for us to know what had actually been spent, since Nora can still submit the reimbursement after. They later volunteered personal information without being requested from them, demonstrating they had been reimbursed for that same event from a different funding source inside of the university. And so a member on Finance Committee motioned to reconsider, who had already voted on the prevailing side the last time, to revote and allocate them $10,000. So they were fully allocated $10,000. There's also another request in there, and a motion to reconsider. It was previously denied and now funded. It's our second meeting. I yield to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Jacobson.
I don't have it exactly on me, but I know it was 50,000, be about $30,000 remaining and at this point, between either 30 or 40 requested.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Cumby, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. We met last week after Senate. We had 3 pieces to vote on. We found SBL 117, 166, as well as 167 unanimously favorable. We did find SBL 117, 171 favorable with an amendment. And this amendment just removes language supporting the usage of bikes and scooters on game day. We chose this due to heavy congestion already on game days and could really harm the well-being of students and other family members on game days. We still support the implementation of bike racks at Willie Bean, but we just want to remove that language for game day specifically just to keep everyone safe. And then we also have parking legislation hitting the floor today, super excited about. And yeah, I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
Hey guys, Judiciary met on Thursday to go over SBL 117, 166. It was found favorable with an amendment. This amendment was expanded and co-sponsored also by Student Life and Finance Committee. Also, forgot to mention this last week, but last meeting, Brooke Walker was nominated as our vice chair, so woo, love that. And I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Liberties and Representations Committee. Chairwoman Sams, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. We reviewed one piece of legislation, SBL 117, 166, and found that favorable. Other than that, the only big update for me is we have new meeting times. Our official meeting will be Thursday at 5:15, and it's to start February 12th. These will be at LSC, and this is just like official meetings so we can vote on legislation and that stuff. And then Tuesdays at 12, which is our meeting time now, will be a non-mandatory, not official meeting for planning initiatives and moving to everyone on the same page. And that will be a time where anyone in Senate can come if they want to work on an initiative with us. And it's that. Have any other questions?
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Loosry, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, Powers met Monday at 5:30. We reviewed one piece of legislation, SBL 117, 166, and found it unanimously favorable. We also interviewed Michaela Torres, and we also found her unanimously favorable as well. And we're also looking into changing our meeting times, so it's going to take a while. We're also looking to have our meeting times and all of our interviews happen on the same day. And with that, I yield my time.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Sheridan, you are recognized.
Hey guys, so Student Life met at our regular time, 6:30 on Mondays in the LSC. We had a lot of new faces in there, except some new senators taking vacancies. So I was really happy that they were in committee. They had a lot of great ideas that they talked about in there, and we're going to do what we can to push those initiatives forward. As far as legislation goes, we reviewed SBL 166. We found it favorable with the same amendment that Finance and Judiciary are also putting forward as well. We had like the same issue, same concern, so we want to advocate for that. Pivoting a little bit, we were contacted by Froco to support their Spring into Giving food drive. We're going to be supporting that, but I'm going to let them talk about that more when they come up here. But it's going to be a great initiative, and I'd love to get more centers on board with that after they present it. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Gopel, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I hope you're staying warm. I actually have the most sensitive skin, so my neck right now is breaking out on the sides because of the cold, so I need it to be warm ASAP. But we did not have a meeting this week. We meet Tuesdays at 5:30, which was during the Senate retreat. So I just sent out a text for SBL 117-166 and found it unanimously favorable. I also had a meeting with Marietta last week. We kind of talked about like tabling. Like I said last week, we are kind of focusing on like how to get people to actually table. We did a lot of legislation last semester about like adding recycling bins, but like how do we actually get people to recycle? So we were thinking about also maybe doing a tabling for that, and then doing painted pots, like people like during class can come paint like a little pot, and then we give them a seed in their pot. And then she's also working on the app that I kind of was talking about last semester, and she's trying to find a group to code it, but she doesn't know how to code or knows a group to code. Text me. And then I also met with Larry Cook on Friday. He gave us a bunch of contacts to push forward with the legislation about adding recycling bins. And then they also received a grant to replace all the labels with like universal labels that are like recycling. So hopefully that will also increase student engagement with recycling. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Elections Commission. Is there a representative present? Seeing none. We will now hear a report from the Freshman Council. Representatives, you are recognized.
Hey guys, so the academics committee are still planning their resource fair. They're looking at switching the date for Wednesday, March 4th, since the original date was the Friday before break. They are still looking for recommendations on different professors, so if you have any, please reach out to the academics committee. Student Life has their Spring Into Giving food drive underway with multiple collaborations with different student organizations. This will be from February 13th to March 2nd, and there will be a bin in the LFC, but also around campus, so more to come on the other locations.
Yeah, and then Health and Safety is finalizing their Love, Safe, and Protected events. They still need to secure condoms for free, so if anyone in the Senate has connections, to please let us know. They will be giving out candy and informing students of resources about sex safety as well. Liberties and Representations is putting final touches on their transportation slideshow that covers ways to get around and use transportation safely on campus, and hopefully will be added to the University 101 curriculum, so first-year students can learn about that information. They are also planning a civic engagement tabling event where they will help people register to vote and teach them about contacting representatives as well as student representatives. And then for sustainability, we have finally ordered our packaged seeds that we'll be giving out during the tabling event in the second week of February. And we're excited to announce our partnership with Student Life for the Spring Into Giving food drive.
Thank you for your
You have my comment questions?
Thank you. The representatives yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Being none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Associate Justice Britner, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, the codes are updated and I have nothing to report. I yield my time to questions.
The Associate Justice yields to questions. Are there any questions? Being none, thank you. We will now hear a report from Speaker of the Senate, Laura Grace Hamilton. Chief of Staff Thornton, you are recognized.
Okay guys, quick things. We went Senate retreat last night. You should be writing legislation. These are just nice reminders. If you haven't written a piece of legislation and it's only written once, you'll soon be contacted by Maura or Loretta Electric Aid. You should be showing up to the Senate, SGY, and committee meetings. Don't take advantage of your chairperson's kindness. We said this last night, but me and the chairpeople can be very kind on attendance, but we can't always help you out. I'm sorry. More is really strict about the rules, and it's just extremely important that we follow the rules and procedures. So they also have to do that, so don't make sure people feel bad about that. You should be reviewing what you're voting on during Senate. Not only community advisors see if you've looked at it, but so can Laura. So yeah, make sure you're looking at them before you vote on them. And then the committee dates and times are on the attendance sheet, and I talked about it with some of the chair people. Some of them are subject to change, but I promise, as soon as I hear about it and get a message, I'll change it. And then some important dates, SG-wide is February 3rd, I believe, which is next Tuesday. And then State of the Student Body, which is a special Senate session, is on Monday, March 2nd, I think. I was right about that one. And then the last one is March 18th, and I think that's all the dates. And then just vice chair expectations. You should be diligently taking minutes and submitting these minutes on time. And then they're due at 5 p.m. the Wednesday of Senate following their committee meetings. And then delegation chairs, you're just expected to go to your delegation steering meetings at February 1st, which is, I believe, this Sunday at 9 a.m. Be sure to be there. We already said it, because it's very important. And I yield my time to questions.
The Chief of Staff yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body Treasurer. Are there any representatives present? Seeing none. We are now in line for a report from Student Body Vice President Jordan Richardson. You are recognized.
Hello, everyone. I had my last BOD meeting today in the office, but it went really very well. It's updates from facilities and development. I'm working with Officer Tedpaul for a scheduled safety walk. He says he has an idea from me, so I'm going to get back to me on that. I'm not really sure what it is, but let's proceed. Programming is deciding on the date as we in 2 weeks, so next week I'll have an official date for you guys. Update y'all on. We will be collaborating with the Center of Student Health and Wellbeing for a Smash at Scale event on February 25th. So I'll be sending out a Sonic signature if you guys pick up that here soon. Please come out to the Polar Plunge this Sunday at Strong at 2 p.m. I will be sending the link to register. I'm going to be jumping in there. It's going to be very cold, so please come in. Outreach is still finalizing. We're working with the library to do the last extra on the street, and we're going to do it with 7 Brew. We should be talking about that. And then SG photo zips are done, and we've hit the minimum, so everything else good. 50 orders. And that's all. So, I yield my time to talk.
The Vice President yields to questions. Are there any questions for the Vice President? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Student Body President. President Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So to start this morning, I attended the House Ways and Means Healthcare Subcommittee meeting where the university presented on our new neurological hospital and the clinics that we have across the state. I'm really, really proud of how that went. The state seems very pleased with the work that we've done and the fact that we are on budget. So very, very proud of that. And I'll attend the House Ways and Means Higher Education Committee subcommittee tomorrow. So very proud of the work that the university is doing. It's a great, great time to be a Gamecock. So you guys should all be very proud of the work that you guys are doing. Additionally, last Friday, I attended the board retreat. It's typically a 2-day event. However, it got split into one just because of the weather. It was such a great time to really learn more about the fundamentals of the university, its foundations, development, and the Alumni Association. And a lot came out of it, including some more work that we can do with the Alumni Association. How do we engage alumni? How do we engage with them to help us with our projects and goals of student government? Next, I unfortunately, we did have to move FD Exchange this weekend. I'm really glad we did because yesterday it was showing that snow was going to be done around 3 a.m. and now it's supposed to snow and sleet throughout the entire day. So very glad that we will not have students driving in that. Right now, we have moved that to February 21st, so we will be sending an updated volunteer list. Please consider volunteering. It should be a really incredible time. We do have the House Place and the entire Education Subcommittee Chairman coming to talk, Nathan Valentine, as well as Grant, of course. Next, I really want to work with Senate on some legislation regarding a Carolina Life Committee, working with my Secretary of Disability Services. We know that we have been really trying to find ways to engage Carolina Life and what would be a great way to get them involved. This would be a really great entry position for them to have the opportunity to work with everyone in student government. So if anybody is interested in that, please let me know. And then also kind of feeding off of that, my Secretary of Disability Services is working with fraternity and sorority life to include Carolina Life in the fraternity recruitment process and ensure that they have more support through and beyond the actual recruitment phase. Still working on Russell House and campus activity fee. If anybody feels very strongly about the location of Russell House and wants to advocate for Russell House to stay here or for it to go far away, which I'm going to be very upfront, I am not a fan of. But if you're a fan of it, please let me know. I'm really trying to gain as many student perspectives as I can. If you are very pro keeping it here, also please let me know. Love to work with you and see if there's some sort of collaboration that we can do between the Senate and President's branch. For programming, we moved this around yesterday just because of another upcoming event, but we are doing a Can You Be My Valentine event during Hip Hop Wednesday on February 4th. This was initially going to be for the community shop, but we understand that there are a lot of food drives going on right now. So instead we're pivoting, and that's actually going to be a donation drive for active duty members and veterans. So my Secretary of Veterans Affairs is working with the VA currently on that. We're collecting blankets and non-perishable items, and we're also doing monetary donations. And if you donate, you'll be entered in to potentially win a dinner for two at a restaurant that we are still trying to figure out. But another reason for that is because the community shop does a big push in March called SEC Food Fight. We compete against other SEC schools, so they are really looking for our support in March for a food drive. So keep that on your radar. I'm going to bring it up. Had a meeting with Vice Provost today. Some things that we're working on that I need y'all's help on. Is anybody here doing a certificate or getting a certificate from the university? If not, raise your hand, something. Yes. Amazing, fantastic. They're really looking to highlight this certificate process. So if you're interested in talking about how it's been for you, please let me know. Love to highlight you. They would love to highlight you. Also, we were finding that there were some gaps on access of food accessibility during Thanksgiving and spring break. Thanksgiving is such a great time that we can kind of not be here. But for a lot of students, that means that a lot of our restaurants and meal plan places shut down. So we're trying to bridge that gap. Some other things. SG-Wide is next Tuesday here at 5:30. Advising and Dance Marathon are going to come talk to us, as well as elected positions. So the 4 execs are going to be talking, and then we just need a senator to talk too about y'all's role, trying to get people to be interested in running. So if anybody's interested in talking about what it has been like to be a senator and what it was like running for Senate, especially if you ran a campaign, let me know. Also, this is the big ask that I need a lot of Senate help on in all student government. Carolina Day is February 17th. Every single year, we write letters to legislators. You'll notice that I sent a link in the SG GroupMe that has a list of every single legislator and on both House and Senate side. We need 2 letters. I have written close to 30 letters, and I need help with my answers now. But please, everyone should be writing 2 letters, especially if you're an in-state student. So please, if you know your legislator, write to them. If you don't know your legislator, but thankfully there's a link in there. You can look who your legislator is. But once you're done, put your name next to the legislator. You will find those letters in my office. I have a little metal stacking tray. It's right on top. And then when you're done, just put it right on the second one. And then I told cabinet this yesterday, but this will go for everyone. Emma, and what's the second name? If everybody fills this out by the time that we're done, I'll bring my new puppy into the LSC. So everyone can meet my new puppy. Will be 6 weeks old. So she's really cute. If you want to meet her, don't tell Kim McMahon. Sorry, Kim McMahon. But if you want to meet my puppy, fill out the letter by the end of the week. And then again, State of the Student Body is March 2nd. It's going to start with GR and then transition to State of the Student Body. And please continue helping Dance Marathon. Your wonderful chief of staff is heavily involved in Dance Marathon. And we have a student government team. So sign up and participate. Okay. Oh, yeah. With that, I yield my time to questions. There you go.
Are there any questions for the president? Chairwoman Patel. Senator Mwakapusia.
Oh, Hoops Week? Yes, Hoops Week is going to be the first week of March next week. There is one event on Monday, and then the other events will be on Saturday and Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday and Sunday, we will be at having like a little tailgate at the Golden Spur down by Colonial Life, and they're going to have free food and old cockpit materials since we have signed our new agreement with Nike. And then on Monday, that's the big collaboration with student government. We're going to have a basketball hoop gaming simulation thing, as well as a Pepsi truck as well. Yes, I will have Harper and Sam. Thank you.
Seeing no more questions, thank you. We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Constitutional Counsel regarding the resignation of Michaela Torres from the position of stenographer.
Received. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding delegation assignment. McCausland College of Arts and Sciences, Michaela Torres.
The question is of the approval of the delegation assignment. All those in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The delegation assignment is approved. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding committee assignments. Powers and responsibilities in student life committees, Michaela Torres.
The question is of the approval of the committee assignments. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The committee assignments are approved. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Seeing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly? Seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment friendly, the amendment is now adopted. Senator Spurgeon. There has been a motion to add a recommendation to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The recommendation is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of 175. Senator Spurgeon. There has been a motion to confirm Olivia McMaster and Terry Paul into the position of comptroller. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The nominees are confirmed. Senator Spurgeon. There is a motion to suspend the rules to allow the new comptrollers to take their oath of office. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Is there a motion to reinstate the rules? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sands. There's been a motion to remove the Speaker Pro Tempore as co-sponsor on SBL 117-171. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The Speaker Pro Tempore is removed. Senator Middleton. There's been a motion. Do you want to be moved to another? There's been a motion to move Senator Middleton to the College of Arts and Sciences delegation. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Chairwoman Cummings. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly? Seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment unfriendly, we will now move to a period of debate. Does any senator wish to speak on this matter? Chairwoman Cummings.
Okay, hi everyone. So as I explained in the committee report, we found this piece favorable with an amendment just because due to congestion on game days, we thought that the Senate advocating for the usage of bicycles on game days would cause some hazards and unintentional injuries to our beloved student body and our fans. We are all for the implementation of bike racks at Williams Brice Stadium. However, on game days, for us to support it, it's leads to dangers. Moreover, South Carolina State Fair expressly prohibits the usage of bikes on game days. So we're just trying to keep that in mind. But that's all I have.
Yeah, basically what she said is true. It's pretty dangerous. A lot of people are probably going to be intoxicated during game days as well. So that's pretty illegal to be driving. Probably going to give some students a ride. But yeah.
And just to reiterate, the amendment still supports the implementation of bike racks at Williams Brice. It's just taking away the verbiage of supporting the usage of bikes on game days when it's already helped heavily. Okay, we yield to questions.
The committee yields to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Sheridan.
Because police are also on the side of the road, so they're able to kind of see the right there with you. And there's no, unfortunately, there's not a lot of sidewalks for bikes to be able to safely maneuver on game days, given how congested it is.
Vice Chairman Lewis.
Yeah. He's been texting Ashton, yeah. So he's aware of it. He was able to read over it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And he just heavily supports it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That heavily supports the usage of bikes on game days. But when the committee met last week, this is what we've there's been at least like 2 days.
Seeing no more questions, thank you. Are there any other senators that wish to? Senator Jacobson.
Hi. So when I wrote this bill, or this legislation, it was specifically for the purpose of game days, because most of the things that go down at Williams-Brice Stadium are game day based. I think it would be misleading to say that that would not be the case. I know we're planning to implement some stuff about like spaces to be used outside of game days, but that's not going to be done for 3 more years. So I don't believe that's entirely relevant at the moment. This amendment only vaguely misleads, in my opinion, the purpose, because if a bicycle rack is installed, it's probably going to be used during game days no matter what. I prefer unfavorable from the committee rather than an amendment that misleads the people voting on it, because it definitely is intended for football games. I'd like to say I also disagree with the point of it being a safety hazard, because there are many, many ways to the stadium that are completely, I'd say, in my opinion, safe. I believe it is significantly more dangerous to be riding from class to class. And there are ample bike racks at most buildings around the university. I think that's more often riding in the road. I think, especially biking to Williams-Brice Stadium, in my opinion, once again, it would be safer to do that on a game day than on a day that wouldn't be a game day. Because I have personally experienced many times standstill, backed up traffic all the way to the UG Blossom stoplight. And I've also seen it all the way to on a line on the interstate on 77 on the other direction. Now, I believe standstill traffic is not exactly hazardous to drive through on a bicycle because the cars they're not going very quickly. So they won't really be injuring people there. There are bike lanes the whole way down. There are back roads you can take. There's bike lanes on Olympia that is straight there to Bluff to the stadium. And once you get to the corner of Rosewood and Bluff, the roads are closed for pedestrians and also whoever else might be there. Now, I hear that the state fairgrounds does not allow bicycles. There is a bicycle rack, one little U thing there, at a bus stop on the state fairgrounds land area. But I don't believe that's quite helpful for anyone. The way this bill is worded, it doesn't specifically say it has to be at the stadium. I heard there were some concerns that they weren't expressed just now, but earlier, about putting it specifically at the stadium. But it would be closer than where the committee recommended 650 Lincoln, Campus Village, and a couple other places, none of which are particularly close to the stadium. Oh, please. Get interrupted. Yes, they had discussed using the transport available, like buses. I think that is an interesting suggestion. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to use the buses. I wouldn't want to. I think realistically that should be used for people who are physically unable to make it to the stadium otherwise, people who have trouble making it a 2-mile walk by themselves. I think in a perfect world, only those people would need to use buses. But
Someone's legal lens, or is this an interrupted motion? Yes, sir. Wait until the individual hearing.
I think I've waited in the bus line for like 2 hours before. I think that is not an uncommon occurrence there. I think biking is a safe way to get to the stadium. I personally bike. I've ridden that way from my house in West Columbia, so like solid 2 miles or so away. There's very convenient ways. If you go through the athletic village, there's a nice, very wide sidewalk. I know a lot of people walk that way. That gets you all the way to Rosewood. I don't believe cars cannot go on that road, like that walkway. And that'd be no problem for bikes to be riding on that. So that is I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Alderson.
Okay. Yankee Park is quite a large area. There's a lot of tailgating spots there. I know those are taken, but mhm. I think having to stop for a police road closure isn't exactly a dangerous thing for a bicycle.
Point of order. Point of order. Allow him time to speak, and then he'll be re-recognized.
To go over that, yes, bicycles are expected to stop on a whim for a lot of things like stoplights, perhaps. It's a very similar situation. Cars are expected to stop and not hit people. I think bikes aren't particularly more dangerous than that. But the Gamecock Park thing, this legislation does not specify where the bicycle rack will be placed.
All right. Senator Lewis, is this an interruptible motion?
One.
I'm sorry.
It's just
It's just for the amendment. It would be a simple majority. So 50% plus one. Continue.
I think going back to specifically the amendment, because this is on the consistent calendar, so we can bring this back up in a minute. Get this over with. The amendment, all it says, I hope you'll have read it, is to get rid of the thing that says there's heavy traffic at the stadiums on game days and remove any mention of game days. But it, in essence, does the exact same thing. I think it's misleading. I think there's no purpose to it other than to, I mean, if we want to say we aren't vouching for people to do it, I understand that, but I don't think it would be a wrong thing to be vouching for. Yeah, disagree? No. All right. You'll make any questions.
Are there any questions for the senator? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move to a voice vote. Oh, apologies. I just said that. Chairwoman Diappolito, you're right.
Just super quick. Right now, even though the stadium is planning on opening spaces to have more events, right now they still are having events out of the stadium that aren't on game days. For example, sororities do stuff there and a bunch of other organizations. Also, adding bikes to the road is adding another thing that can hit people while they're walking to games, because there's just such a large group of people that it's very hard to follow the rules, especially when there's no sidewalks. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Does any other senator wish to speak on this matter? Senator Sanders, you're recognized. And just as a reminder, when it's time for questions, ask questions. When you have a point of debate, wait until the question period is over and you'll do that.
Yeah, okay, we just want to emphasize that we can rewrite this amendment, like, absolutely to be, like, you know, more favorable with what you're saying, but I do stand with the hazard of, you know, it's not an issue of how the bikes are going to get there, it's where they are going to be once they hit that standstill traffic. Because that standstill traffic, bikes are not going to be able to weave in and out of cars. They're still going to have to be stopped by police. And then, if they don't want to ride on the road, of course they can ride on the sidewalk, but then that's another hazard for people. So it's a hazard for people and it's a hazard for cars. And I just don't overall believe it would be safe for game day specifically. But we can rewrite the amendment and continue the conversations around it. But just want to emphasize the hazard on the road and on the sidewalks. Oh, I yield my time. No, do I need to yield my time for the way? To the well, yeah.
Thank you. Does any other senator wish to Senator Wilson. There's been a motion to nominate Senator Wilson and Senator Boswell as Senator Wilson's proxy. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Senator Wilson. Granted. Any other senators? Senator DiLorenzo. Granted. Senator Fry. There's been a motion to limit debate on this topic to 5 minutes. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The debate is now limited to 5 minutes. Give me a second to start. You got a timer? Good. Do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? 5 minutes. Seeing none, thank you. We will now move to a voice vote. All those in favor of adding the amendment say aye. All opposed? We will now move to a roll call vote. Just remember to, when your name is called, be clear, be loud, to see stuff. Oh, and proxies. Please remember who you are proxying for.
Baldinger, Venegas, Boswell, Koviak, Cumby, Sapolito, Davis, DiLorenzo, Greer, Fry, Dobbin, Gay, George, Gopel, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Keenan, Kern, Lewis, Leslie, Middleton, Modica, Wakapusia, Primus, Ryan, Dams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Sheridan, Zeitler, Bergen, Tapia, Talaka. Walker, Ward, Wilson, Watley.
Is there a motion to go into a brief recess? No, we're good? I understand. With a vote of 24 ayes to 8 nays, the amendment is adopted. Senator Mark-Pusius. Yes. Senator Mark-Pusius. There's been a motion to carry over SBL 117-157. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The piece is carried over for a period of 1 week. Are there any more motions at this time? Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense of the motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-172, sponsored by Senators Fry and Ryan, a recommendation to address the harmful conditions of ceiling tiles in Gambrell Hall.
The senators are recognized to speak on the legislation.
So I remember it must have been sometime in late August, and it was raining outside. So I figured that I'd just wait it out in the bottom of Gambrell. And it was nice. It was cold, but I noticed something. Nobody ever really seems to be down there. But at the time, I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, oh, they probably just don't know this place exists. But that all changed when I took one look at that ceiling. And then I realized, and I don't mean to jump to any conclusions, that maybe people aren't coming down there because of the giant black stain on the ceiling. However, with this recommendation, we can attempt to change that. This piece is simply just asking that the university fix the visibly damaged ceiling tiles in the Gambrell computer room, and if the university were to put the time and effort into fixing these ceiling tiles, I believe that more people would utilize the area to study instead of just the occasional class. With that being said, I yield the remainder of my time to any questions.
The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, this legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation. Oh, first piece, congratulations. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-173, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to preserve and expand green spaces on campus for students.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Okay, this is a pretty simple. Let me just say this, that we are on campus building a lot of buildings. We see it coming around, we're ready to build a new, McKissick and things like that. But, I don't see grass coming up on campus. And what I mean by that is we got to have a balance between green spaces and putting buildings on campus. When I look at colleges like Texas and, Georgia, and they have like nature trails and things like that, and then I think, yeah, we have the horseshoe here, but, wouldn't it be nice to, walk around and, to like a little trail or like reading spots, they got like tree, green spaces for the students to be able to participate in and utilize. Now, I don't see this project costing any money. I just think it's to me, it's just a common sense thing we need to just like practice and do. But we have different opinions, and I think we should just, the university should consider, look at, of what's going on, because we got all sorts of things going on, we can really spruce up what we got, renovate it, modernize again some things. We need to modernize some more things on campus again, and that's modernize our green spaces, because we got some spring and the summertime is coming up. And if you go out here, right here on this green area, right outside of Russell House, you sit on the benches and the picnic tables, but there's not enough to accommodate the people. And then not also accommodating the people, they have allergies. We need sunscreen dispensers out there. We need things to really accommodate the students and really to make it more. Yeah. With that, I'm going to yield for questions.
The senator yields to questions. Are there any questions? Chairman Sheridan.
No, because their next master plans follow state law, and that's the Heritage Act here in South Carolina. What, the Heritage Act? Because it says you can't develop on certain like lands. It also says that certain buildings here on campus cannot be renamed and things like that. I don't know about them developing them, but we have plenty of protected land. If the horseshoe is protected because they marched through here during the Civil War. Yeah, if that plot of land is protected, they won't build on it.
Chairperson Koviak? Senator George?
I'm going to give you an honest answer on that one. I have a definition of walking path. I think a walking path is a path that you walk down, but I would refer to the university definition of how they define a walking path in terms of development.
Senator George?
Yeah, I mean, this hour is a walking path. In which terms? In walking paths? Yeah, just, again, walking paths. So basically, just like our student government code, we define things. The university have certain terms they have defined in their policies as well. So I will refer to that, and I can give you what they say define as a walking path, but I can't speculate of what they would define as a walking path.
Senator Seidler?
I believe all things are feasible. The first answer they love to say is no, and you have to convince them of yes. So that's what I would start there. But yes, this is feasible because I mean, we're talking about building a new Russell House. We're talking about, building, they're going to renovate the sports field over there by the football stadium. We got Main Street District coming up. Yeah, the money is coming in from the Wazoos.
Chairwoman Gopel?
Yeah, that's a good point, and I see that point, but I think that we should be bringing things back centrally located back to our campus, to really accommodate, these changes and trends that we're seeing, right now. There's like a little river thing you can walk over there by Green Quad, so I think it should be more centralized.
Quick point of order, remember to maintain professional decorum. Chairman Sheridan.
I can't give you an answer on that one. I'm not sure, but I could look at the list and get back to you. Well, no. The recommendation is not demanding that we're preserving it. What it's saying is that we should also, it's preserving green spaces along with building new development. So it's keeping a balance. It's not saying that we're going to stop developing to hold on green space or hold on a plot of land,
Chairperson Koviak?
I agree with that. I think, I'm not sure, yeah, I never mentioned the Heritage Act, so, yeah. Thank you for that.
Seeing no other questions, this legislation is now referred to the Sustainability Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-174, sponsored by the Health and Safety Committee, a recommendation to lower the price of garage parking permits at the University of South Carolina.
The senators are now recognized to speak on this legislation.
Okay, so this was just kind of an expansion on a piece that was tabled indefinitely. Just kind of provides research looking at other SEC institutions as well as Simpson about their ratio of commuter students to the price of parking permits, specifically like garage parking permits. So we just wanted to provide these statistics and be able to compare and contrast for our own institution. We did set it for it to not exceed $800, with the hope of it being well below that. But again, this is just to get our foot in the door and hopefully start those meetings. Right. We'll yield the questions.
The sponsors yield to questions. Are there any questions? Vice Chairman Lewis?
So when I was a freshman, it was $800 for like the annual parking garage permit, and to like kind of take it back there. And then by saying like not exceed, hopefully we can get it well below that price range, just so that we're not like blindsiding them with like only $200 when we need more parking.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none. Oh, Senator Boswell.
Say that again? No, I'm not a business major, but supply and demand is a thing. I'm sure they're right in there, but also $880 in our opinion is a little crazy. So that's why we said not exceed $800, and hopefully we can kind of figure that out if it's legislation with the package the department is part of.
Any other questions? Hearing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-175, sponsored by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Senator Spurgeon, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
I misspoke earlier. It's $27,000 and some change. But I think I already explained the situation beyond the Hines Finance Committee meeting twice this week. If there's any questions about that or anything else, can go on.
Chairman yields to questions. Are there any questions? There has been a motion to pass SBL 117-175 by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. Senator Middleton. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Diapolito as Senator Middleton's proxy. Is there a second? Hearing no objections, Senator Diapolito is now proxy. Senator Middleton. Granted. Senator Ward. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Fry as Senator Ward's proxy. Is there a second? Seeing no objections, Senator Ward. Granted. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the uncontested calendar. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-167, sponsored by Senator Benitez, a recommendation to implement campus sun safety measures through the installation of free sunscreen dispensers and a university-wide UV protection awareness campaign.
Senator Benegas, you are recognized to speak on the legislation.
So nothing was changed with this piece. The only thing I really wanted to hear what you guys think about is like the cost of the sunscreen dispensers. Just because nobody really asked about that last time, and nobody like said nay. So I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about the cost. And if you're not on the legislation, you're not reading it. The first time installation would be $1,600, and then yearly it'd be $600 to replace those like pouches of sunscreen. And then that's also like subject to change depending on what like materials are bought for those sunscreen dispensers. So yeah, I yield my time for questions.
The sponsor yields to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Jacobson.
I think the price is very high. If I were to be able to pay for it myself, I definitely would have. However, I think that takes away from the importance of it being something that students should already get for free. So I think fundraising would be a way to get those funds if the school isn't willing to provide sunscreen for the students. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, we will now move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-168, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to improve communication and accessibility of scholarship opportunities through the Office of Financial Aid.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized to speak.
Yeah, this is another pretty simple recommendation. Let me just say this. I found this out the other day. If this passes, we're going to be the second, one of the second SEC schools that passes. LSU passes in the fall, doing the same thing. So we'll be the second SEC school to do that. So a growing trend on that to get those scholarships out, get the money and the accountability. And it's something I think is very important. You know, this pass, I look forward to advocating for this one, you know. Schedule in. Yep. With that, I'm going to, and the academics committee, they felt it was approved, so appreciate that. They've been busy lately, but they're doing good work. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The sponsor yields to questions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we will now move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the contested calendar. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-166, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to organize and amend Chapter 4 of the Student Government Code.
Hi guys, just
Sponsors
wanted,
are recognized to speak.
oh sorry,
Sorry.
got ahead of
My fault.
myself. Just wanted to remind everyone this is on the contested calendar because it was found favorable with the amendment. But the bill and amendment strengthen election integrity by clarifying authorities, standardizing procedures, filtering bad faith complaints, and ensuring transparent, fair, and timely student elections. There were concerns about changing the code so close to elections. However, the timeline, filing, and the current budget have not been changed. Added to the filing section is an explanation that if you accidentally file incorrectly, that's the explanation of what happened. And the $50 and $15 yearly increase to the budget has been removed because it was hard to keep up with and made the codes inaccurate. One major change is that EC now has original jurisdiction, which has no dangers because CC can always take over, and there's also an appeals process. Speaking of, there's now due process written out for EC complaints and violations, which is important in giving everyone a fair chance. There were also concerns about EC having a 2/3 vote to make a decision, but even in the codes previous to the bill, there were only 3 people on the Elections Commission that could vote. So that's not being changed, and again, an appeal process is laid out. Another concern was about the good faith effort, which is now outlined with the meaning and the process of it through the amendment that was added. Lastly, part of the amendment is that the Elections Commissions must draft a complaints and hearings rule of procedure that the Student Senate must approve. This adds due process, predictability, and fairness to the Elections Commission having original jurisdiction. Overall, it cleans up and standardizes elections logistics, which makes the codes both easier to read and enforce. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields to questions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we will now move to a period of debate. Are there any senators wishing to speak on this matter? Hearing none, we will now move to a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll. Oh, apologies. Senator Cummings? There has been a motion to pass by voice vote. Are you retrieving your motion, or? There has been a motion to pass SBL 117-166 by unanimous consent. Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the contested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-171, sponsored by Senator Jacobson, a recommendation to add bicycle racks to Williams-Brice Stadium.
Senator Jacobson, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hi, guys. So, let's keep talking about this. Gonna add bicycle racks to Williams-Brice Stadium. I did note this earlier, but at the moment there is only one bicycle rack. From my knowledge, I did go and check. I specifically went around the entire. Oh, you did too? That's awesome. Yeah, I went at some time in the middle of the night and walked around the entire thing just to make sure there weren't any. I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields their time to questions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we will now move to a period of debate. Are there any senators wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we will now move to a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll. Oh, Senator Cumby. There has been a motion to pass SBL 117-171 by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Seeing no objection, this legislation is now adopted. Congratulations, Senator Jacobson. Continuing, is this an interruptible motion? Let's recognize Senator Benegas. Congratulations. Continuing on with the call of the contested legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter to the attention of the body? I'm going to recognize myself. If y'all want to join the ad hoc committee on treasury reform, now's the time to do so. It meets Fridays at 10 a.m. We've been doing amazing work. Self-selection. I yield the question. Seeing none, thank you. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? With no further announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 4th, 2026.